I thought they were too long. I thought there were a lot of pointless chapters, a lot of stuff which could quite easily been left out. Probably the best example in book 4 is the Weighing of the Wands chapter. I didn't think there was anything in that chapter which was of any real use. It didn't advance the storyline at all. In book 5 there's a heck of a lot of stuff before he actually gets to Hogwarts. In fact, I think it's almost 200 pages. Probably made very prominent obviously by the trial at the Ministry of Magic. And even though that gave us the chance to go into the Ministry of Magic and see what all that was like, it didn't really advance the storyline. It could quite easily be left out in my opinion. Book 6, not quite so much. Although I think the bit with the Dursleys could quite easily be left out. But the big thing which I think really should have been left out, not just could have been left out, but should have been left out, were the first two chapters. Book 7, again, not really as much point to that, but I can kind of see why she put that first chapter in. The bit with the Dursleys, I always thought in all 7, well, no, not the first one, but the other 6, with the possible exception of Harry talking to Dobby, the bit with the Dursleys was just pointless. It could quite easily be left out. Which really annoyed me was the constant persistence Harry had was passing out. And obviously, you know, it was kind of interesting the first few times it was happening. There was something dramatic. It was kind of an interesting read because you didn't know what was going on. But the way it just kept happening, it was just annoying. They went camping. It was almost 200 pages, that part of it. And they really did nothing. The deaths, with the exception of the last book, I could accept the deaths. I thought it was fine. Nothing wrong with the people who died in any of those books. But there were too many in book 7. Hedwig and Dobby, was she just trying deliberately to be as brutal and as heartbreaking as possible? And can you really imagine a more brutal way to kill an owl than have it blown up? That was just awful there. And it was nice in the epilogue to see Harry referred to him as, obviously, I think, the bravest person he's ever met or something, I don't know. Which brings me on to another criticism I have of the last book, the epilogue. Not so much pointless. I think it was good to have an epilogue, but I think it could have been a lot better written. It could have, you know, touched on a lot more things which were maybe, you know, weren't completely obvious. I mean, we knew Ron and Hermione and Harry and Ginny were going to get married, and, you know, it just stands to reason that they would have kids. It's just very sort of cliched, and the last lines were also rather cliched. The last 3 books, I think, have very much this air of not much going on, and then suddenly things peak into an amazing bit of action for about 3 or 4 pages, and it's really gripping, and it's the reason Harry Potter has been so successful, these gripping scenes of action. And you're just thinking to yourself, oh, how's Harry going to escape from this? How's he going to get out of it? And I think J.K. Rowling's obviously been sort of thinking the same thing as well. She's thinking, oh, I've got this brilliant scene, this brilliant disastrous moment. Now, how do I get myself out of this? How the hell is Harry going to survive? It's always something totally unexpected, or, you know, a 1 in a million chance. I think probably the best example of this is in book 2, when they're in the Forbidden Forest and the spiders are about to eat them. The Ford Anglia, purely of its own accord, just decides to come and rescue them. And the climax to it, I didn't quite understand the bit where Harry is killed and then is able to survive. Put a bit more detail and a bit more explanation into that, and it seemed a bit far-fetched as well. And then the ultimate climax to it, after all this action, all this fighting, you thought the final battle between Harry and Voldemort was going to be brilliant, but it wasn't. It was just 6 pages of them talking, and then Voldemort just died. But not to say that I didn't enjoy the book. It wasn't my favourite of the series by any means, but I enjoyed reading it all the same. Book 7, I can't remember. I'm just going off on a tangent here, but I just noticed one of the comments on one of my videos. You're a fucking weirdo, you are a, and then in all caps, far, and it's just A. He's just holding down the A button, and he goes on for about half a page, and then just the 1 R, and then 2 T's, and then 3 exclamation marks. I'm just going to have to delete that though, because it's messing up the comment page, taking up too much room, but I thought I'd just share that with you.